Hello everyone. So I've been working on the scene for a while, and it is a sci-fi corridor. Um, yeah, so it's got real volumetrics in it, and what's really cool is I'm actually going to be releasing my 3D scenes from now on that I make in Blender, and that will only cost $2 a month, and it will be on my Patreon page. Link is in the description. So yeah, let's do a breakdown of this and see what's going on here. So I am going to go to the 3D view. Um, and you see we got a cube here, and that's just our volume effect. So I'm going to go to rendered view, and that will disappear. And yeah, that's just a volume. So I'm just going to be basically covering this for about 15 or 20 minutes or so, just to show you guys what I did to create this render. So I'm going to temporarily hide this just for now. And what I did is I did a lot of hard surface modeling with booleans, and I basically took a cube. This was a cube, and you could see, like, for example, if I had a cube here, let's say I had just a cube, and I could scale it up, and then I just duplicate that, scale it down, and then you can just cut into another cube with Control minus, like that. And that's basically what I did, but I did it in a lot of complex ways. I probably used over, let's see, I'm going to go into the Boolean count. So for just this tunnel, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6. I used 16 Booleans for that. And for this, well, with everything combined together, I probably used about 30 or 40 Booleans. And with all these items added in, it was probably about 60 to 70 Booleans. So yeah, that's a lot of complexity, and it certainly makes modeling, it's really fun working with the Boolean workflow, it really is. The important thing to know is you have to keep the modifier stack in the correct order. And yeah, so one thing I focused on a lot in this scene is the lighting, and I'm going to just go through that really quick. So lighting is really important. With bad lighting, nothing will look realistic. And let me just bring back that volume cube for now, just to see. Yeah, this is it. So I should actually rename that. There we go. And let's go to the camera view. And it's a little slow, but that's because I have the volume on. But that's okay. And even with RTX 2060, it still is a little slow. But yeah, I could just turn on optics to help things out a little bit. And that's the AI denoiser doing its magic. So you could see that I added the volumetrics, and it's really important to get those light ray shaft effects. And that was awesome. It really makes things look great. And you could see for the sky, what I did is I went to the shader editor, went to world, and I used the new Nishida sky texture. And let me tell you something, it's awesome. I mean, you can do all sorts of things with this. Like, for example, you can bring the ozone up, and let me just hide this menu. You can bring the ozone up, and it makes it more blue. You can bring the dust up or down. You can do all sorts of stuff, like you can turn the air down and then just have ozone, and maybe even bring the dust down to nothing. Well, then it turns black. So you need some dust. But you can see this is very powerful. You can do a lot with it. Let me just undo that so it's set to how it was before. Yeah. So yeah, very, very powerful. It's definitely much better than the old Hosek Wilkie sky texture. much more realistic. And you can also change the sun size, and I'm going to just show you briefly what that does. So just for speed, I'm gonna hide the volume, so let me just hide that just to speed up the render here. So you could see that we got our scene here, and if I turn up the sun disk size, and what that does exactly is you could see that there's the sun right there. If I just bring the size up, the size of the sun increases. So back in the camera view, if I increase that, what you're going to notice is if you pay attention to the floor, you're going to notice the light becomes more diffuse and less, more scattered. But I didn't want that. I wanted it to look like it's really coming through the window, so I kept that sun size way down. And that's why lighting is, it's just so important to have everything correct. Like the altitude actually, what that adjusts is how far you're up in the atmosphere. And I just left that at 0 because we're at I wanted it to be like we're at ground level. But for the sun elevation, that would determine how high up the sun is in the sky. Like how close to noon it is, or how close to evening, or even sunset, which could be something like that. And we can see how that looks. That looks pretty cool, but I'm gonna go back to, like, let's see, 2. Yeah, kind of looks like a sunset, and that could be a nice effect for some renders. But I'm gonna undo that and just leave it to how it was before. So yeah, you can do a lot of advanced stuff with the new sky texture that was never before possible. So actually, let me go back and cover the compositing. So going into the compositing, let me just bring over that window and then go to the compositor, and I'm going to turn the backdrop on so we can see everything. And it's just going to take a little time to load it. And you can see it looks really decent. And what I did to get these, let me just actually disable the noise to speed things up temporarily. So what I did is I just used relatively simple, although to some people this may not be simple, but this is comparatively simple of a compositor setup to what I use on some projects. But so for example, I don't even think I need that node. Let's see, I got the volume direct pass, and what I did is I rendered out all these render passes. You could see right here, every single pass I rendered, and I took just the volume effect. And what I did is I had the image here, right? So what I'm doing to select and view that pass is I got the viewer node here, and I got the node wrangler add-on. So all I have to do is Control Shift, left click, and it lets me toggle through these passes and go through them. Like now I'm viewing that's the AO pass, that's diffuse direct, and you can see if you just click, you kind of go through them. So I'm going to go to the image pass. That's just our standard image, no effects applied. And then what I did is I took the volume direct pass, which is just the volume, that's all it is, and I subtracted that from the image. So if I add like a mix shader and I just take the top image, and I'm going to show you this, so please, you may want to ignore these nodes on the bottom for now, just to make things less confusing, because I'm just going to bring them down. Yeah, so I'm going to subtract this from here. And yeah, so if I have, this allows you to remove volumes. Like let's say you're saying, I have a render here, but I think the volume effect is maybe too strong. All you have to do is just take a subtract node, subtract the volume direct pass from your image, and you can just tweak that just like that, or even remove it completely. But what if you want to go beyond that? And you can. So yeah, so I'm going to take the volume pass again, and I'm going to add a multiply node. And what all you have to do is duplicate this node again, and then set it to add, and then pipe the volume direct pass into the multiply, and then you can multiply it by any color you want. Let's try like orange, and yeah, you can change the volume color only while keeping the rest of the scene the same, and this is certainly very interesting. You can do a lot of different effects, and you don't even have to re-render. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, so that blue certainly looks cool. Yeah, you can do any color you want. Look at the green. Wow. And to think that this doesn't even require re-rendering your scene. This just shows how powerful that compositing can really be. So yeah, and this is only scratching the surface. There's a lot more you can do with this, and I'll be covering that in future videos, but yeah, you could just see how much you can really do with the compositor. So I did that same effect here to a lesser extent, and I just added some lens distortion, glare, and some various effects, and some color management, balance, and yeah, that's how I came up with this image. And of course I also denoised it, so let me enable that. And I also added some film grain. And film grain is very important. It just makes things look a little less artificial. Yeah. So for the Patreon page, for only $2 a month, you will receive these files that I create on YouTube. You will receive the actual Blender files, and you can do whatever you want in the file. Like, you can view it, you can render it, and everything will be included, including the compositing setup with all the nodes visible. So yeah, I'll have that link in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, thank you guys for watching.